Hey everybody, Dr. Rafage from Vet Triage. We are going through this May 1st, 2014 edition of JAVMA, and we're going to be talking about direct and indirect contact rates among livestock operations in Colorado and Kansas. And stay tuned for the end, where I'll give advice for both veterinarians and for animal owners. So this study comes out of University in Kansas, a university in Alberta, Canada, another facility in South Africa, the vet school in Davis, California, and the vet school in Colorado. Objective is to characterize direct and indirect contacts among livestock operations in Colorado and Kansas. They sampled 532 livestock producers. The procedures included livestock producers in Colorado and Kansas that were recruited by various means to participate in a survey which was sent out via email or regular mail once a quarter in March, June, September, and December. This is throughout 2011. Results found that large swine operations moving animals to other large swine operations had the highest outgoing direct contact rates, a range of 5.9 to 24.53 per quarter, followed by dairy operations moving cattle to auction or other dairy operations at a range of 2.6 to 10.34 per quarter. Incoming direct movement contact rates for most quarters were highest for large feedlots, ranging from 0 to 11.56 per quarter, and dairies, ranging from 3.9 to 5.78 per quarter. For large feedlots, the mean total indirect contacts through feed trucks, livestock haulers, and manure haulers each exceeded 725 for the year. Dairy operations had a mean of 434.25 indirect contacts from milk trucks and 282.25 from manure haulers for the year. The conclusions were that high direct contact rates detected among large swine operations may suggest a risk for direct disease transmission within the integrated swine system. Indirect contacts, as well as incoming direct contacts, may put large feedlots at substantial risk for disease introduction. This data can be useful in establishing and evaluating policy and biosecurity guidelines for livestock producers in the central U.S. The results may be used to inform efforts to model transmission and control for infectious diseases, such as foot and mouth disease in this region. All right. The central U.S. has a high concentration of diverse livestock operations. These herds may be susceptible to a broad range of diseases transmitted by direct contact, meaning between animals or herds, or by indirect contact, meaning through personnel or fomites. Direct contact with infected but apparently healthy carrier animals can result in transmission of some diseases such as leptospirosis, brucellosis, and paratuberculosis, or Johne's disease. Porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus causes disease estimated to cost the U.S. swine industry $300 million annually. Transmission of the virus primarily occurs through direct contact through infected pigs, but it can spread through indirect contacts as well. Infectious agents such as bovine viral diarrhea virus, infectious bovine rhinotracheitis virus, Trichomonas fetus, and porcine epidemic diarrhea virus are also economically important to the industry and can spread through movement of animals and support industries. An additional concern is the spread of disease by subclinically or latently affected animals in an outbreak of foot and mouth disease, which could allow the virus to spread rapidly through susceptible livestock populations prior to the appearance of clinical signs. Because of increased concern of foreign animal disease introduction, changing dynamics within the livestock industry, current research is needed to estimate the contact rates and potential for infectious disease transmission among livestock populations. Foot and mouth disease is highly contagious. It affects cloven-hoofed animals and has not been detected in the U.S. since 1929. Animals are not vaccinated against the virus in the U.S., resulting in susceptible livestock population. The foot and mouth disease virus can be transmitted between herds by movement of infected animals and direct animal-to-animal contact, but can also spread indirectly by humans as well as vehicles, equipment, and other contaminated material. In outbreaks of foot and mouth disease in the United Kingdom in 2001 and 2007, transmission was attributed to direct and indirect forms of contact. Owing to the susceptibility, diversity, and large scale of livestock populations in the central U.S., and the fact that over 50% of total U.S. sales of cattle and calves originate from 5 states in the region, introduction of foot and mouth disease or other infectious disease in the area could have important economic implications. A 2002 study estimated the cost that would result from foot and mouth disease introduction into the U.S. at $14 billion, with a 9.5% decrease in farm income. An epidemiologic disease spread model to determine the economic impact of foot and mouth disease in southwest Kansas predicts a loss of $35 million to local economy. Because the disease is a foreign animal disease in North America, simulation modeling is the only avenue available to study its impacts in the U.S. Quantitative simulation models are dependent on an accurate and regionally specific estimate of the frequency and distance distribution of contacts between livestock operations to estimate the potential transmission and impact of infectious disease and to guide intervention plans. A study reported contact rates among livestock operations within a 3-county, primarily dairy region of California, and another study reported contact rates among beef operations in California. Census data for 2007, which is the most recent at the time of publishing this, which is 2014, indicated the total value of U.S. sales of milk and other dairy products was highest in California. Kansas and Colorado were amongst the top 5 for sale of cattle and calves. At the time, Kansas and Colorado were reported to have 2,767,947 hogs, compared with 153,983 in California. Okay. The survey in the study was attained approval from the Kansas State and Colorado State University Review Boards of Research involving human subjects. Results. 65.6% of the surveys were from Kansas, and the other 34.3% were from Colorado. Cow-calf producers comprised 57.3% of the operations that participated in the survey. The survey was completed by the owner of operations in 89% of surveys, by the manager in 7%, and by other people in 3.5%. Now, regarding direct contacts, 88% from cow-calf operations and 12% from small feedlot and mixed beef and swine operations looked at movements by direct contact. Large swine operations had the highest ongoing direct contact rates of all quarters, with other large swine operations as destinations, so a mean value of 5.9 to 24.53 per quarter. For dairy operations, moving cattle to auction and to other dairy operations, outgoing mean direct contact rates were from 2.6 to 10.34 per quarter. For large cow-calf operations, the greatest outgoing direct contact rate in a quarter was reported for auction destinations at mean values of 1.28 to 2.88 per quarter. Mixed beef and swine, small feedlot, small cow-calf, and small ruminant operations had similar outgoing direct contact rates, with a mean for the quarters ranging from 0 to 4.73. The mean number of incoming direct contacts also fluctuated by quarter. In most quarters, incoming direct contact rates were highest for large feedlots and for dairies. Incoming movements from auctions to dairies were only reported during June through August. Large feedlots reported the highest number of incoming direct contacts from auctions overall, peaking with a mean of 11.6 contacts from March through May. Now, in regards to indirect contacts, for large feedlots, the mean number of indirect contacts through feed trucks, livestock haulers, and manure haulers exceeded 725 for the year, or 181 per quarter. For dairy operations, the highest mean number of indirect contacts were reported for milk trucks at 109 per quarter, manure haulers at 282.25 or 71 per quarter, and feed trucks at 146.65 or 37 per quarter. Dairy operations in the study had a mean of 280 indirect contacts per quarter. The estimated distance traveled to each livestock operation type with similar costs the quarters of the year. A range of mean values of 66 to 77 kilometers per quarter, or 41.25 to 48.13 miles per quarter for all reported indirect contact sources except livestock haulers. Livestock haulers traveled a median of 113 kilometers or 70.63 miles for each contact in the months of September to November, compared with 64 kilometers or 40 miles for each contact for the rest of the year. Distances traveled by all indirect contacts of each type of operation were reported, and the longest median distance traveled by indirect contacts was 109 kilometers or 68.13 miles, and that was to large feedlot operations. So just to recap all of that information, they're trying to figure out through indirect contacts like livestock or indirect contacts like machinery, what amount of units are they moving every quarter, what's the amount of distance that they're moving every quarter throughout the states. That's the idea here. Discussion. Given that 66.4% of participants reported owning both swine and beef cattle, they're considered potentially important conduit for the spread of disease from swine operations to beef cattle operations, and mixed beef and swine production type was included in the analysis. Mixed livestock production systems could increase contact rate among species, leading to a larger outbreak of infectious disease that infects multiple species. In 2007, the USDA National Agricultural Statistics Service census reported the mean number of cattle on feed per feedlot was 1,665 in Colorado and 2022 in Kansas. The typical beef cow herd size in Colorado and Kansas is approximately 60 cattle, whereas the mean beef cow herd size was 369 in this study. In previous reported data from California, 30% of beef cattle herds were kept in multiple locations. The mean herd size of dairy herds has been reported to be 283 cows in Colorado, 150 cows in Kansas. The median herd size in the survey for dairy operations was 138 cattle, with a mean of 1,274 cattle for the 19 dairy herds for which survey responses were received. Dairy operations in our study had 280 indirect contacts per quarter, compared with an indirect contact rate of 234 per month found in small dairies, and they were defined as those having less than 1,000 cattle. The typical herd size of swine is 750 pigs in Colorado and 1,300 pigs in Kansas. Large swine operations in this study had a high number of direct incoming and outgoing contacts, which include any movement reported to another location, even if it's part of the same operation. Most large swine production is part of an integrated industry with animals shipped within operations and then directly to slaughter, making it unique compared with other livestock operations. Another study found that large numbers of livestock were purchased from livestock auctions in herds in a 3-county region in California. Continued education of producers on the risks of bringing outside livestock onto premises and the importance of quarantine in open versus closed herds remain important to prevent possible disease spread, such as bovine rhinotracheitis virus, bovine viral diarrhea virus, trichomonas fetus, porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, and porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus. Separation of sick from healthy to prevent direct exposure is important. Cleaning and disinfecting livestock trailers controls disease. The results of this study may help in quantifying the magnitude of risk. Indirect contacts are a potential risk of disease spread, especially with foot and mouth disease. Indirect contact could allow disease spread after livestock movement controls are in place, resulting in a longer outbreak. Some indirect contacts must be maintained for animal welfare reasons and for continuity of business and long-term continuation of livestock production even in the presence of an outbreak. Delivery of feed, supplies, laborers will be necessary and will require increased efforts for biosecurity, disinfection to control risk. In this study, large feedlots had the highest mean number of indirect contacts in a year, as well as high numbers of incoming direct contacts from auctions and feedlots, putting them at substantial risk for introduction and spread of disease. The results of this study did differ from other research on indirect contacts of large beef operations in California. For example, approximately 8 mean monthly contacts per year with livestock haulers was previously reported, compared with approximately 726 livestock hauler interactions for large feedlots and 38 for small feedlots per year for this study. These contacts may occur over long distances as well, increasing the risk of long-distance transmission of some diseases, risking outbreak in the Midwest. The high number of indirect contacts found in this study support the premise that cleaning and disinfecting is imperative to prevention of diseases. And they mention porcine respiratory reproductive disease, salmonella, bovine viral diarrhea virus, E. coli 0157, salmonella enterica, serovar Dublin, and E. coli 0157 have been shown to persist in cattle manure, and indirect transmission of these viruses has also been reported. So the takeaway for veterinarians is to stay up to date with educating livestock producers. They have to know that the long-term benefits of what seems to be expensive preventative care now is worth it, because even though in the short term they are seeing it as getting more money by cutting corners, in the long term it's going to be devastating for them. And if they're going to be in this business for long term, they have to understand that the risk benefit ratio of investing in appropriate biosecurity measures now is worth it for the long term. And then as far as owners of these animals go, and we're talking about livestock owners, large production owners, it's the same premise. Look to your veterinarian to figure out what is required, what symptoms to look out for, how to appropriately quarantine and disinfect and all that stuff, because that'll save you a ton of money in the long term in your business. And of course, it's better animal welfare, better quality of meat and all that stuff. So so those are the takeaways that I get from this, and hopefully it helps you guys who are watching this. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.